So I watched episode 1 of the 3rd season of For All Mankind.
We're talking about discovering life on another planet. It'll change our concept of who we are, where we came from, and where we're going.
And I gotta say, the season premiere is just continuing to show me exactly why For All Mankind is the best sci-fi show on TV today. And it's continued to be that for almost 3 years now. It's in his 3rd season. Joel Kinnaman is an absolute powerhouse. He continues to show us exactly why he's been the lead of this show for the last few years.
The US of A is going to win this race.
He's one of those underappreciated actors, I think, in Hollywood. This show is continues to basically demonstrate why he's a great actor that the show can be built around. And the fantastic thing about this show, though, Roland D. Moore, Battlestar Galactica, and now this, they know how to handle an ensemble cast. We last left the show in 1982, 1983, somewhere in the early 80s, and this show in season 3 picks up in 1992. So they basically skipped forward a decade, and they've gone from establishing a base on the moon with the US and the Soviets both fighting for territory, to now a lot of that being resolved at this point, and now it's all about the two sides competing to go to Mars, and then all about how there's the third party in the race, and you have a private company that's making rounds, and they show you basically all of what has happened throughout the world in that time and that decade that has passed since season 2's finale aired. And I love that part about the show. I honestly gotta tell you, that's some of my favorite stuff. With Apple TV Plus, they put up these playlists of videos what happened in 1983, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90, 91, in the years between season 2 and 3. And each of those plays out like a news clip, and they talk about the various storylines, not just from the world of the space exploration, which is the focus of the show, but they kind of build this real picture of what the world of this show looks like, this alternate history that this show is based on. You get things. The first episode is all about this private space hotel that Karen Baldwin's has started up, and they have a malfunction in one of the thrusters. You get this space odyssey, 2001: A Space Odyssey vibes, because the station is spinning, and you see them walking around. It literally looks like 2001: A Space Odyssey, honestly. And I was like, oh my god, this show knows it's sci-fi, and it knows how to play well to that, and it knows its audience. And honestly, the budget on this show must be pretty big, because the visuals are fantastic, the production design is great, the direction is great. A.C.W. Johnson, he plays Danny Stevens, son of Michael Gorman's character. He passed away in the last episode of the last season, so he's now grown up, and his character has become the next big celebrity astronaut for NASA, and he happens to be on board, and he's at his wedding in this space hotel, the first wedding in space, and the Baldwins are basically now the de facto parents for Casey's character, Danny Stevens, and his brother. But they end up having to save the day, essentially. And that's one of the things I liked about this episode, that even though this is not with Roland D. Moore, who used to do 20 plus episodes for Battlestar Galactica each season, this show is going to have 10 or 13 episodes. I don't know exactly the number, but it's not going to have a 20 episode season. But usually a lot of shows use that as an excuse to just get into heavily serialized storytelling, where you have this one long story going from episode 1 to the finale, and every episode just feels like a part of that one story. So if you were to cut all of those pieces together, it would be one big movie. Whereas what this show does is it balances that aspect of it out, the serialized storytelling, with episodic storytelling. Very much this first episode story was all about that space hotel. Obviously it's about let's catch up with our characters like Ren Schmitt's Margot Madison, for example, Carol Pena's, Aleida Rosales, all of these callbacks to characters from very much the beginning of the show. And there's a lot of family motifs going on. There's some good moments in this, which if you've been a fan of the show and you're following the show and you follow the characters from the first season on, there's a few good payoffs, but the show starts off by establishing where these characters are 10 years after we left them in season 2, but then it just dives into this whole space hotel thing, and that's the story of this episode, and that's what it focuses on. And I love that particular story within the larger story is resolved in this episode. So when you walk away from episode 1 of season 3, you're like, okay, and reintroduced back into this world, this incredibly complex, textured, and layered world with this incredible cast of characters, this seemingly ever-expanding cast of characters, and you have seen them go on this like little mini adventure within that episode, and it feels fulfilling. You walk away from the show thinking, okay, that was a great hour of television for this week, and you know what? These characters will bring me back for more next week, and the larger story at hand of, the race to Mars is gonna bring me back next week. But I felt like they did not leave you with a cliffhanger, and that it had a satisfying end. They presented the conflict, they resolved the conflict, and then they have that overarching conflict that's, I'm sure, gonna get resolved as the season goes on. But that's something that I feel like is missing from a lot of streaming prestige TV today, especially like the Disney MCU and Star Wars shows. Those shows tend to be like 6 episodes, 8 episodes, 10 episodes, whatever, but you get a lot of like this piecemeal storytelling where they're just dishing out like bits and pieces at a time, like scraps, and then we as fans are just like scrambling around like looking for these little pieces, like a little piece at a time, and you're like, oh, can I have some more please? And this is like, no, next week. Just wait. You can wait 7 days, can't you? We'll give you some next week. You're like, all right, thank you, Mr. Disney. Thank you, Mouse. We will come back for more next week. Thanks so much for your graciousness. And I feel like that kind of like insult to your intelligence storytelling is so far away from For All Mankind, and I love that about For All Mankind, because this show does not insult your intelligence. It knows that this is high concept prestige sci-fi, and it presents it that way, and it's the best expression of high concept prestige sci-fi that I can tell you is on air today. I think some of the Star Trek shows airing today are great. The Expanse that just finished its run on Amazon Prime, great. But honestly, For All Mankind, it is the best sci-fi show on television today anywhere. You gotta go check it out on Apple TV Plus. If you haven't seen it up until now, go watch the first 2 seasons, then jump into season 3. And honestly though, if you don't want to do all that work, which isn't a whole lot of work anyway, it's not like they have 20 episodes a season. It's only like 20 odd episodes total that you have to catch up on. And I'll be honest with you, there's some really good episodes in there. Season 2 was fantastic. But do your best to check this show out. Like, go watch the first 2 seasons if you can, and if not, then just jump straight into season 3 and those other little newsreels that you have on Apple TV Plus where they show you what has happened in the years preceding season 3's events. You will get enough world building from that alone, not to mention what you see within the episodes themselves, that you'll be immersed like right from the get-go. This is a fantastic show. I'm looking forward to reviewing it every week. The last 2 seasons I just like saved up episodes and basically binged them in bunches, but this season is going to be a little different. I'm going to watch them week to week, and so far episode 1 is a great start, and I can't wait for more.